Hello, Bobcats. It's Mrs. G here, and I am outside in my backyard for today's storybook session. Today I'm going to be reading to you Juna's Jar, and it has a lot of really fun stories about how science, how curiosity brings her some really unexpected discoveries. So if you haven't been outside recently, I would encourage you to head out there. You can do your learning outside. There's science all around you with the weather, with plants and insects, and some really fun things that you can do with science. You can take a walk. You could go explore your backyard. Lots of fun things you can do with learning and enjoying a good book outside. And reading, maybe in the mornings or in the evenings, is always a great thing to do outside. I like to do it a lot in my backyard. So today I'm going to read Juna's Jar. It's by Jane Bahk, and it's illustrated by Felicia Hoshino. Our publisher today is Lee & Low Books Incorporated out of New York. And today, Juna's Jar holds some unexpected things, so let's see what. Juna's family always had a large jar of kimchi in their fridge. After they finished eating all the kimchi, Juna sometimes got to keep the empty jar. Juna really loved to take the jar and go on adventures with her best friend. They went to the park near their apartment building to collect colorful rocks and small bugs. And once, Hector found a green caterpillar. Juna worried that it wouldn't have what it needed to make a cocoon, so they let it go. Morning, Juna went looking for Hector to go on another kimchi jar adventure. She ran downstairs to his grandmother's apartment. "Hi, Abuelita," Juna said to Hector's grandmother. "Can Hector come out to play?" "Hola, Juna," Hector's grandmother said, giving her a big hug. "I'm sorry, Hector is not here." And then she told Juna that his parents had come the day before and taken Hector to live with them in a big house far away. Hector had wanted to say goodbye, but Juna wasn't home. Juna was very sad. When she got back home, her big brother Minho tried to cheer her up, and he took Juna to Mr. Lee's pet shop and bought her a small fish. Juna watched the fish swim in circles in her jar. That night, when everyone else was asleep, Juna put on a diving mask and fins and dove into the water. And you can see on this page here, she's using her imagination, which is a really fun thing books can help us do. Juna's fish took her everywhere. They swam with sea turtles, they played with dolphins, they discovered a giant clam. "Can you help me find my friend Hector?" Juna asked her fish. They swam to a dark underwater cave. Hector wasn't there, but they found huge snakes slithering in the sand. And when Juna got closer, she saw they were actually tentacles. Juna wondered if they belonged to an octopus or a giant squid. I wish Hector was here, Juna thought. He knows everything about animals. By the next day, Juna's fish had grown so big its mouth nearly touched its tail. "Opa, my fish needs more space," Juna said to Minho. With his help, Juna put her fish in the aquarium in their living room. And now Juna's jar was empty again. Minho had an idea. He gave Juna a small bean plant that he had grown at school for science class. They found some soil and they carefully put the plant in the jar. That night, when everyone else was asleep, Juna put on hiking boots and she climbed down the plant into a lush green rainforest. Her imagination is taken over again here. Juna swung on the vines, climbed on a tree with a sloth, and sang with howler monkeys. "Have you seen my friend Hector?" she asked them all. One monkey pointed to the river and jumped away. And as Juna got closer to the water, she saw that the rocks in the river began to move. They weren't rocks at all. It was the back of an alligator or maybe a crocodile. She wasn't sure which one it was. I wish Hector was here, she thought. He would know. By the next day, Juna's plant had almost reached the ceiling. "Opa, my plant grew too big for my jar," Juna said. Minho helped Juna put the plant into a large pot on their balcony. And now, Juna's jar was empty again. What do you think she's going to fill it up with this time? Minho and Juna walked to the park, and a cricket chirped in the bushes. So Juna quietly snuck up to the cricket and cupped her hands around it gently, and she placed it into her jar. Minho helped her find twigs and leaves, and they put them in the jar too. When they got home, Juna punched holes in the lid of her jar so the cricket could breathe. That looks pretty fun. Maybe you could even find a jar at your house like some of those and make your own little jar activity. That night, when everyone else was asleep, Juna put on goggles and a helmet and she hopped onto the cricket's back. Her imagination taking her fun places. Juna and the cricket rode through the night sky together. They flew over tall buildings that looked like giant steps leading to the moon. They followed a trail of cars that lit up the hill like a string of holiday lights. Then, the cricket landed on a windowsill of a big house, and Juna peeked in the window. There was Hector, asleep in his bed, and on the bedside table, he had a kimchi jar that Juna had given him. Hector looked like he was having happy dreams. Juna smiled. "Bye, Hector," she whispered, and then she hopped onto the cricket's back and she flew home. Looks like he has some rocks in his jar, so he's collecting some things to keep thinking of Juna as well. By the next day, the cricket's antenna had poked through the holes in the jar's lid. "Opa, the cricket has grown too big for my jar," Juna said. So Minho and Juna walked to the park and they set the cricket free. And now Juna's jar was empty again. Juna looked around the park and she wondered what she could put in her jar next. "I wish," she thought. "Hey, look what I found," a girl behind her said. "Can we put this in your jar?" Juna turned around. A green inchworm was wiggling up the girl's arm, and Juna smiled and held out her jar. So maybe she found a new friend to go jar exploring with. Juna's jar is kind of a fun story that maybe inspires you all to go out, do some science, and maybe learn from the nature around you and see what you could put in your own jar. So hope you enjoyed our storybook session, and I'll see you again soon.